welcome to McClendon Studios. This is Random Thoughts and Observations, and I'm your host, David E. McClendon Sr. And today we're going to talk about Wedding Wednesday, and it's a prompt that you'll look down below. You'll see the link to Genia Bloggers that we got through Genia Bloggers, and hopefully that you'll follow that prompt or that link down there and see a little bit more about Genia Bloggers. If you're into genealogy, that's a wonderful site to visit. Anyway, I'm going to tell you about the day that my beautiful child bride and I got married. Now, my beautiful child bride is named Suzanne, and we got married on November the 3rd of 1984. It started out, you probably saw the post that I made about my father, Papa Bruce, proposing to Suzanne. He proposed to her, and things were set in motion almost immediately. Suzanne and I had planned to get married, and I'd actually proposed to her. It's just we hadn't set the date exactly yet. And so I called and made arrangements with the local church for the date that she had picked out. We were going to get married on that date. Everything was working and looking good. And then my mother got involved. My mother said, "You really need to go and see Miss Sharp. She's a wedding consultant. She does weddings all the time, and she could probably help you." So we decided, okay, we'll go and see her. So we went to see this lady, and she suggested to us, no, you don't want to get married on a week when either Clemson or Carolina are having home games because people won't show up. Well, as it turned out, people showed up all right, but they were, some of them were sitting up in the sound booth listening to the game on the radio. And so scheduling it for a different time really didn't help anyway. As it turns out, Suzanne and I really didn't get anything that we picked out for this wedding. My mother changed the color of the bridesmaids' dresses because she had this fabric that she could get, and she would have to order the other fabric, and she didn't want to order it. Anyway, so she changed the color of the bridesmaids' dresses. The date was changed because of the suggestion of Miss Sharp, and the wedding venue was changed from mine and Suzanne's home church to my parents' home church. It was bigger, and the sanctuary was nicer, but it wasn't as cozy, it wasn't as convenient, and it just wasn't us. Anyway, Suzanne and I planned to get married on the 3rd of November, 1984, and of course we consulted with her Uncle Bobby, and her Uncle Bobby Ray was the one to officiate the wedding, and our friend Eddie Bledsoe sang at the wedding and did a great job. And then Linda Boggs played the piano, and Cindy Beasley played the organ. It was a nice day. But to start off with, Suzanne and I had decided, well, we knew our friends and that they would trash the car. And so I went and took the car that we were going to be driving off on the honeymoon and hid it in the parking lot at the hospital, which was just up the road from the church we were going to be married at. And we left the 65 Ford Galaxy out for the people to decorate. Well, let's go back to the rehearsal dinner. At the rehearsal dinner, after the rehearsal dinner, Suzanne and my mother and I assume my sister had to get together and do a few things in preparation for the wedding. And me and my father rode back to our house in the 65 Ford Galaxy. And we were coming down the road, and this guy pulled up next to us, and he was horsing his engine. And my father, who had always got known to me for speeding, said, "When the light turns green, let him get a little bit ahead and then smoke him." I'm like, is this the same man that used to take my car keys away from him for getting into a race or for driving too fast? So the guy got a little bit ahead, and I showed him what that Galaxy would do. It smoked him. Well, the next day was the day that we were getting married. Suzanne and my mother left the house before I saw her, and then I went on up and got dressed, went to the in the Galaxy, went to the church, went in the back of the church, and met with my groomsmen. And of course I didn't see Suzanne. We kept her, I guess you could say, under wraps till time for the wedding. I never saw her wedding dress until she walked down the aisle. But anyway, as I was driving, I was thinking, I need to go very slow, because you always, or be very careful, because you always hear about people dying, like on their way to the wedding or immediately right after the wedding. In fact, I had some sort of relative who right after her wedding, the very next week, her father died. So you always hear that type of thing. So I was very concerned about that. So I was being very careful, not taking any chances, driving on to the wedding. I got to the wedding, and my mom had sent a friend of mine, Russell Partain, out to buy me some food so that I wouldn't get sick while at the wedding, because I'm a diabetic and eat quite regularly. So he went and bought me a chicken sandwich. He didn't give me anything to drink, and there I was in the hallway eating this chicken sandwich. I got hung in my throat, and there I was. I couldn't breathe. I had this chicken sandwich hung in my throat, and I couldn't get it dislodged, and there was nobody around. And so I made my own Heimlich maneuver by just falling on the water fountain, which, good thing I didn't rip it off the wall, but that's what I did. I fell off on the water fountain and hit it about mid-abdomen level, and knocked the obstruction loose. Well, the time came for me and my father and Uncle Bobby and a few others to walk out for the wedding, and we did. And I saw the groomsmen walking down the aisle with the different bridesmaids, and then the music changed, and there was my beautiful child bride, Suzanne, coming towards me. It was such a wonderful feeling to see this beautiful lady walking down the aisle towards me. And it was wonderful, and I thought, well, here in just a minute or two, we're going to be married. Well, the ceremony progressed, and we went after the ceremony, walked out, and we're supposed to have birdseed thrown at the reception, but instead our friends jumped the gun and they threw macaroni at us as we walked out the door, and they had decorated the Galaxy with peanut butter cookies all over the thing. You couldn't get in the car without peanut butter getting on you, and Suzanne didn't want to get in the car and mess up her dress. And then we had to go back inside to get pictures taken. So we went back inside, and Suzanne was mad because, or upset because they didn't leave her anyway to get in the car without messing up her dress. Well, we rode from the wedding to the reception in my mother's car. My mother and father drove the Galaxy, and we rode in my mother's car. And then as we were at the rehearsal, and Suzanne and I mean not the rehearsal, but the reception, and Suzanne and I couldn't really see one another for even a brief second, because about the time we get together, somebody else wanted to talk to us, pull us over, people we hadn't seen in a long time, pull us over to the corner to talk with us, and couldn't eat anything because every time we tried to eat, somebody else would come and talk to us, and there you are, you forget to eat. And so then by the time it was time for Suzanne to throw the bouquet, and after throwing the bouquet, we went to change clothes to get ready for the leaving, and everybody else left. We came out, and practically everybody was gone. And so we walked out to my mother's car, and she drove us back to the hospital to get in the car. And so we didn't have that driving away that most people have, where everybody's throwing stuff and hollering at them and all that. So it wasn't exactly the way we had planned, but it was a great day. After our wedding, we drove to Spartanburg to the Ramada Inn, and I had booked the jacuzzi suite, which they call the bridal suite, but it was also called the jacuzzi suite. And there we had a nice evening. We had shrimp cocktail and, while sitting in the jacuzzi. And then the next day we got up and we drove around Spartanburg and visited a few of my old friends there in Spartanburg, and then that night we went out to Capri's Italian restaurant and had a lovely dinner together. The next morning we got up and we drove to Memphis. I had already pre-arranged at the Holiday Inn there in Memphis to have the bridal suite, and had prepaid 2 days for the bridal suite. Well, while we were there, we went to see Graceland, Elvis's estate, and we saw his plane and all the different cars that they had on display there, and it was just really wonderful. And Suzanne had always wanted to see it. I had seen it from the outside before, but I hadn't seen the inside. And that was a lovely day. And then the next day we toured around Memphis a little bit. We stopped by the Memphis airport and ate some Memphis mud pie, which was very good. Mississippi mud pie. Either way, we ate this mud pie in Memphis along the Mississippi. So we had Mississippi mud pie in Memphis. And the next day we got ready to check out. I went to the front desk to check out. Well, as part of this deal for the bridal suite, we had this so-called champagne breakfast that was included in the price. Well, I went to check out, and there were two listings for this champagne breakfast at $20 a piece. And I said, well, this isn't right. This is supposed to be, part of the package deal. And the guy looked at it and said, well, no, one breakfast is part of the package deal. I said, no, that wasn't the arrangement. And he knocked off the one, and I said, no, I had already paid for this. I said, I'm not paying the extra $20 for this. I mean, I'm supposed to be on my honeymoon, and here you are trying to rip me off. Well, as it turned out, there was a steel company there. I want to say it was Steel City. It might be Steel City, USA, but I'm not positive. But there was a steel company checking in for a convention. And right beside me, while I'm up at the desk discussing this with the desk clerk, the guy that's in charge of checking the convention in, he stops. He says, wait a minute. He said, you're on your honeymoon and they're trying to charge you extra for something you've already paid for? And I said, yes. He said to the guy across the counter, he said, no. He said, all you guys turn your keys back in, we're checking out. We're not paying the convention, you won't get your money, we're just checking out. Because if you can't get this guy straight, you're not going to get us straight. So the hotel went ahead and wrote off the cost of the second breakfast and told us to go on our way and have a nice honeymoon, which we did, and I thanked the guy profusely. And then Suzanne and I left the hotel and we drove on to Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg, which there's really nothing going on in November in Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg, but we went to some of the shops and they were nice. And then later we went, after a couple of days in Pigeon Forge, we went to Nashville and looked around and toured around there. And then finally we made our way down to Asheville, North Carolina, and we toured the Biltmore Estate, which was beautiful. It was already decorated for Christmas at that time. It was very, very beautiful. So the time of the year to go is right around just before Christmas, where they have the estate all decorated for Christmas. We went through the winery, which was really nice, and then we decided to have a meal on the estate at the Deer Park Restaurant, which was, one of those fine dining experiences, supposedly. And the one thing we found about fine dining is that you pay a lot of money to get bad food and very little of that. And the food wasn't terrible, but they had this dressing. We were having turkey and dressing, and this dressing had oranges in it, which we weren't used to. But once we finished our meal, we were still hungry. And I don't mean just a little bit hungry. I mean, we were very hungry because there was nothing. This was practically like an hors d'oeuvre that we got for our $60. And so we got to the car, and I said to Suzanne, well, when we leave the estate, let's get us something else to eat. And right after we drove off the estate, there was McDonald's. So we went to the McDonald's and paid less than $10 and got a whole lot more to eat than we got on the estate for over $60. And then we drove on back home to our brand new house to spend our first night in our new house. While we were gone, my parents had gone ahead and arranged for our a bed to be purchased. So we moved in. We had a bed, and that was pretty much all there was in the bedroom was that bed. And we had a little bit of other furniture in the house. And shortly we were able to finish decorating it. But we had a nice, what was 2 weeks or almost 2 weeks of honeymoon. We spent a wonderful time, and we've been happy with one another. A beautiful child bride, Suzanne. I'm very fortunate to have her. There's a couple of times in my life, if I didn't have her, I wouldn't be here. Like when I had the necrotic toe, my toe had basically rotted off, and I was very, very sick, couldn't hardly hold my head up, and called the doctor. The doctor said, office said, well, we can't see you. This was a Monday, we can't see you till Thursday. So I laid down and I slept till Thursday. And Thursday, she got me up, got me to the car, got me to the doctor's office, and at the doctor's office they said, no, it's not this Thursday, it's next Thursday. And I was ready to just lay down and die. And Suzanne put her foot down and said, no, you'll see him today. And that's what they did. I went in and the doctor said, I can't treat you as an outpatient. I said, well, what have you got to do? And so they sent me on to the emergency room in Sugar Land and admitted me for this necrotic toe. And had I gone another day, according to the one other doctor, the necrotic toe would have taken over and poisoned my body completely, and there would have been no turning back. Another time, her and my oldest daughter got me to the hospital after I had a stroke. I wasn't capable of taking care of myself, and they took care of me. And if it wasn't for my beautiful child bride then, I wouldn't have made it through that either. And so I'm very fortunate to have her. I love her very much. And I'm very fortunate to have my oldest daughter, the tech support here, just off camera. Y'all can't see her, but she's over here like, what am I, chopped slivers? Fortunately for me, I had Fortunately for me, I had my beautiful oldest daughter to help me, and my beautiful child bride Suzanne on that one. Well, that's the story of our wedding day and a little bit more. And like I say, look at the links at the bottom of this for the Genia bloggers to get a little idea about some genealogy, or if you have any other memes that you'd like to send to us, please do so. This was Wedding Wednesday, and you'll see the different suggestions in the bottom of it or where it came from. I'd like to thank you, and if you have any questions or comments, send it to gindysvideos@gmail.com. That's GINDYSVIDEOS@gmail.com, and we thank you. This is a Federal Trade Commission required notice. When you click on an advertisement that is displayed with this video, or just before it, we receive a small commission. Sometimes, if you merely watch an ad, we receive commission. If you purchase anything by clicking on links on any of our websites, we receive a commission as well. McClendon Studios is a participant in the Amazon Services LLC Associates Program, an affiliate advertising program designed to provide a means for sites to earn advertising fees by advertising and linking to Amazon.
We have a new book. Many people want to know if homeschooling will work for them. This book may help you answer that question. You can find it on Amazon.com. Suzanne has written a great book of poetry. It is called Shattered. You can find it on Amazon.com.
We also offer you the book How to Pay Off Your Debt. Buy it on Amazon.com.
Remember, on the 26th of June, 2016, all of our books will be free on Amazon.com in honor of the 21st birthday of our baby child.